Okay, episode 625 of the podcast. If you're watching the video format, I apologize for the attire. It is late night. I'm actually recording this right after the game. Usually I wait till the next night, but I'm recording this right after the game because the Super Bowl's tomorrow. Got to set up, having some people over, got to get ready, place the bets, then I'll be watching it later that night. So it's the night of the Knicks Pacers. The Knicks just took a loss to the Pacers, and we're going to talk about it here in this show. Episode 625. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball. Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding that. It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Okay, episode 625 of the show. Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you all tuning in. Talking Knicks Pacers. This was a brutal one. This was a rare ass kicking. The Knicks lost this one 125-111. You don't get many of these. It sucks to lose to such a loser team. I don't like this Pacers team. Obviously, I hate them. I hate Halliburton. I hate everything about the Indiana Pacer organization, obviously, as a Knicks fan. But, this team I don't think is that good. I think they're very mediocre. I think they're a regular season team, and it really sucks that the Knicks lost to them again. And that, in all three of these games, they've played this team without the rotation. The Pacers won. The Knicks got their ass kicked, and, the Knicks have been getting a lot of credit, a lot of props, a lot of praise lately from the media. Most of the media. There are some, people still doing their shtick. Some people still bitter. We don't need to name names anymore. We all know at this point. But, they've been getting praise from most rational human beings. And rightly so, man. They've been playing their ass off. They've been winning some games. They made the right trade again. They won the trade deadline a second time this season. People are starting to talk about them on a serious note, as in, this team can make a deep conference run or even further as a sleeper team to get to the finals. Some people think. So it's kind of nice that, after being in that euphoria for a while, that, not nice, but, it's almost refreshing now that we can finally talk about some issues on this team and kind of come back down to earth a little bit, as the Knicks have now lost 3 out of 4 games, and you're starting to see some holes. They'll be okay. Obviously, a lot of these holes are because they're injured. They're banged up, incredibly banged up. They were without, obviously, Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, Jericho Sims, still sick. And now Hart with the Achilles kind of bothering him, flaring up again. So tonight they had to start with Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and then Hart-Precious and Taj in the front court. Christ, we'll talk about that. But you could kind of tell from the start of this game, right? The Knicks started the game missing 6 of their first 7 shots. They were miscommunicating on defense. Starters finally got hot. Dante DiVincenzo gets hot from the corners. Precious has some nice moments. Brunson gets hot. It's 27-26 Knicks entering the second. Bogi gets his first Knicks three-pointer early in the second quarter with 10 minutes and change left. Burks gets his a few minutes later. Precious, some more nice moments in the second quarter, but the Knicks defense is getting picked apart, and they're down 61-58 at halftime. Third quarter comes, the Knicks continuing to just really play some egregious defense. Taj Gibson has a rough second half, and the Knicks make a late run. Brunson gets hot, but there was a tough moment where Dante kind of fucked up, rushes a deep three-pointer, bad shot, and then the next time down, he just commits a very irresponsible turnover in transition. And then after that, Halliburton knocks down a three to cap off the third quarter. 91-82, the Pacers were up. Fourth quarter comes, and the game kind of gets out of hand. The Knicks are getting killed on the glass. Deuce McBride is getting smacked around by T.J. McConnell. Christ. I at a certain point, I turned the game on mute. I kind of stopped watching. I was looking at my laptop doing some stuff. I went to Twitter, and Zoomers were mad that Tibbs was playing professional athletes in a professional basketball game down the stretch. Folks, he plays to win. Okay, I get it. Win what? You're down 22 points, 5 minutes and change left. But he's obsessed with winning. He's obsessed with winning to a point where it's like that Dumb and Dumber quote. You're telling me there's a chance, right? 1%, whatever it was. He's going to take that chance. I get it. Fucking, that's never going to change. So, accept it. And the Knicks lose, 125-111. Brunson scores 39. Burks, 22. Precious, 15 points. Turner leads the Pacers with 23. Halliburton, 22. Siakam, 19. This was a very bad defensive game for the Knicks. Again, they were without their anchors. Obviously, OG Anunoby is their best defensive wing, but their center is the center on the Knicks defensive system is pretty much based off of the center position. And obviously, again, they were without Mitch. They were without Jericho Sims, but now the guy who's probably due to get paid at least $50 million this offseason, they were without Isaiah Hartenstein. And so what did that leave them with in pick and roll? Taj Gibson and Precious Achiuwa. And it was kind of brutal. Precious he's been great. And I thought he had a decent game tonight. But he's not a starter. Because he cannot guard fives. He's best suited, said it before, as in that power forward role off the bench. Because when Precious Achiuwa is at the 5, the Knicks need to switch him to be effective. But Tom Thibodeau does not switch his 5s. So it's kind of it's a tough fit. He had some nice moments offensively. The first half, he was working pick and roll, DHO, flashing athleticism. He was putting the ball on the floor. Didn't score in the second half, but it was mainly the defense that was kind of tough to watch because in this scheme, when he has to guard 5s, it's not ideal. And again, his best ability is his switch ability, and Tibbs doesn't switch 5s often. And then you have Taj Gibson, who's just, we say Precious is not a starting caliber player. Taj Gibson at this point in his career is not an NBA caliber player. Maybe I'm being too harsh. But the 19 minutes he got tonight certainly were too much. I understand. Didn't have anybody, but Taj Gibson, man, Tibbs could have brought in anybody else, but he brings in Taj because he's Tibbs' friend, and he's just way too old. He's too rusty. He's been sitting on the couch all year. He's way, way, way too old. You can say, like, this is not a guy that you want to put on a contender and then put him into the starting lineup of that contender and expect to get production. Especially throwing him out there to start at the 5 tonight against a fast-paced, high-tempo Indiana Pacers team who runs early offense. He's just useless. He can't get the ball above the rim at this point. He can't hop. He's limping. He's hauling ass up and down the court. He's got no cardio. He's cramping. Like, the guy looks like a 40-year-old man who hasn't played ball this year. Watching Taj Gibson defend 5s on the perimeter, brutal. It's an automatic foul, or he's leaving you too much space because he can't move. He can't blitz. It's tough. It's tough. At this point, it's like you just got to give the guy a clipboard if you want him to be here. Tell him, hey, you can be one of my assistant coaches. But man, and again, like, what was the alternative? Jacob Toppin, who's 6'8", 200? Precious Achua already played 43 minutes in the game. The Knicks are out 3 centers plus Julius, so they can't even go small. Like, they had to. And you saw how tough this team looked, how poor they looked defensively tonight. They were picked apart in the middle. Those Halliburton pick and rolls, just like last time, decimated the Knicks. There was so much miscommunication, especially in that first half, just leaving way too many open looks. There was a lot of weak side help when Tyrese came off, and that left the corners open, and you can't do that against a team who's got these shooters like Aaron Naismith, who torched the Knicks for 3 or 4 threes all in the first half. You know, I didn't like how Tom Thibodeau was blitzing pick and roll again. Soft hedges, doubles, and that opened up Halliburton's passing game. He hit the outlet, hit the short roll man. I didn't like the way they defended, and I thought it gave the Knicks a ton of issues in short. So you look at the middle by the numbers, and yeah, 41 rebounds for Indiana. That was a +9 for them. They were 10-2 on the glass in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's when the game kind of got out of hand. They scored 62 points in the paint on 72%. They were 12-4 in second chance points. Miles Turner scored 23 points on 9 of 9. Halliburton had 12 assists. So yeah, that's like, if you could back up the Knicks getting burnt in the middle, those are the numbers to back it up. Those Halliburton pick and rolls are no joke. Kid's a good player. I hate him. He's a good player. And he thrives at the Garden. And again, I blame Wally Szczerbiak for that. The best Knick on the floor tonight was Jalen Brunson. So I guess we're giving him the game ball.
Bing bang.
Jalen Brunson, 39 points. He shot 14 of 25, 10 of 10 at the free throw line. Certainly misses. There's one. I'll start with the bad. He misses Julius Randle bad. He's still able to get his 35. But like, Julius Randle's gravity, his ability to draw 2 on the post, to collapse the defense on a drive, that was a big reason that Brunson had these quality catch and shoot 3-point looks. But now without Julius's gravity on the floor, he's forced into a lot of pull-up threes, which is obviously the less efficient 3-point shot. And he's not in catch and shoot anymore. He's not able to throw it to Julius on the post, relocate in the corners, and then catch and shoot. That's not an option. He's pulling up a lot, and now it's hurting him. And his 3-point percentage has plummeted without Julius. It's gone down and down significantly each day. He was 1 for 5 tonight on threes. The good thing is he continues to just torch it at the first 2 levels, right? He was 13 for 20 inside the 3, so 65% tonight. On the season, he's up to 52% from 2. And remember early on in the year, that was where he was struggling. He was having trouble with the floater, the pull-up, finishing. He's knocking down the mid-range elite at an elite level. He's finishing at the basket with his floater at an elite rate. So he's killing it inside the arc. You know, and Indiana ran the same defensive scheme tonight as the rest of the teams are running on Brunson right now without Randall. They're trapping Brunson actions. Now, it didn't matter because Brunson's so difficult to guard and pick and roll. If the defense plays up on the action, Brunson gets by you, and now you're at his hips. You know, especially when Brunson rejects. When he rejects, you're at his hips, and he's going to draw the foul, probably get the M1. If he's going the other way on that off that screen, good luck. You know, and I thought the Knicks did a nice job, especially early on, bringing up wings to screen for Brunson with Indiana trapping. They had Hart screening for him. They had Burks screening a few times for him. So good job. And Burks, I'll get to Burks. Alec Burks tonight gets the game ball from off the bench in his first game back with the Knicks in a few years. 22 points. He shot 7 of 14, 4 of 7 from 3, 4 of 4 at the line. Yes, there were some issues with him early on in the game, especially as an initiator. Right, he made some tough passes, couple of shots out of rhythm. You know, he had that brutal inbounds play, which just gave all of us PTSD because we all know how Alec Burks, as the inbounder, goes in ATO offense. He had 3 turnovers, you know, a bad pass on a miscommunication with Hart when he wasn't there. He ran into Taj Gibson. Like, sure, some tough moments as the initiator. It doesn't change anything, though, because he's the best option to run the second unit. He's a better option than Deuce McBride in that initiator role. He's fine there. Like, Burks played 22 minutes tonight, and about half of those minutes, I'd say, were as the initiator without Brunson on the floor. And also, you have to remember that in a playoff game, that number is going to be even less. And there were moments tonight where Dante DiVincenzo was making plays in ball screen actions. Deuce McBride was taking the ball up the floor. So it wasn't always Burks in those, let's call it 12, 13 minutes as the initiator. But it's gonna be Alec Burks when Brunson's off, because Deuce's best role was the role that he was in tonight, as an off guard right next to Alec Burks. You know, and he's best when he's next to Brunson. But all you're asking from Alec Burks is to facilitate basic pick and roll, to knock down shots when the defense plays in drop or if they go under the screen. And you only need this in half of his minutes. You're not going to need this in 30 minutes like you did in, was it 2022 when he was playing primary playmaker? You don't need this consistently anymore. You just need it in spurts. And he'll be fine there. In fourth quarter, Big Bucket Burks made a return. Now, this was garbage time, but obviously we know him for coming through in the fourth. And he scored 15 points tonight in the fourth quarter. So good for him. Good for Alec Burke, as Clyde continues to just struggle to pronounce the kid's name. 3 years later, you think he'd finally figure it out. Good God. I think that's it. Well, okay, so we'll head to our break, and we have one. I want to talk a little bit about the starting unit tonight when we return. Just a couple things to add. But that'll be it. So we'll head to break, get back, talk about one or two more things, and that'll be that. Stay with us. Be right back.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show. You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. The Knicks lose 125 to 111 tonight at the Garden. Yeah. Was this the final game of their home trip? Or do they have one more? I don't know. Anyways, I think, I was a little I wasn't totally shocked because I know how Tibbs operates, but I'm hoping that the starting unit gets a little bit of a shakeup. Obviously, when everybody's healthy, you're going to go back to the norm because that clicked. But for now, I think you need a little bit of a shakeup. Put some goddamn offense around Jalen Brunson, please. You can't just use Dante DiVincenzo as a bailout option every single time. The guy's already had so much, to carry now. What the dude's been chucking up shots because he's had to carry so much workload. Dante, you can't just rely on him to be the number two. I understand Tibbs is going to stagger, but you got to put some more offense around Jalen. It's 2024. Hart played 36 more minutes tonight. At the very least, if you're not going to remove Hart from the starting lineup, slide him up to the 4 now and put Burks at wing. Or have Bogi start with Hart. Tibbs' fixation with size for defense is going to hurt this team eventually. I've been saying it for the longest time. This might be his demise eventually. You have 2 guys you brought in. Bogi is a career starter. Precious's best role is, again, as a backup 4. Hart, if he's out there and he's hesitating and he's missing open looks and he's being completely ignored by his defender, he's a total detriment to your half-court offense. And more times than not, he's giving you very little offense. His shooting is non-existent. He's got to be below 30% at this point. I mean, the defense is able to bring soft help again in the secondary. As soon as Brunson got into the lanes, you seen that guy kind of show. Now, it didn't matter because Brunson's amazing, but we cannot continue to start Brunson next to 3 non-spacers. The Taj thing is whatever. Your 3 big men are hurt. But you have Bogi here and you have Burks here now. Let's get a little bit creative. Let's show a little bit of offense. Now, maybe Tibbs eventually goes this route, for as long as Randall and OG are out. Maybe. Maybe he's just waiting for Bogdanovich and Alec Burks to adjust to the system. Bogdanovich more so. Because you did see the closing lineup tonight. It was interesting because Tibbs went all offense at that point in the game. It was Brunson, DiVincenzo, Burks, Bogi, and Precious. So you saw him double down on offense at the end. Maybe when Hart returns, since he brings better defense and offense than Precious, it's Josh Hart, Bogi, and Hart as your wing, power, and big. Or it's Burks, Josh Hart, Hart. Right? It just feels like there are more options now for Tom Thibodeau to not have to play Hart all these minutes. And I'll continue to say less is always going to be more with Josh Hart. I've been hammering this damn point since the beginning of the season. It's just that the spacing is way too much of an issue when Josh Hart is having the kind of night that he's been having often this year. Been having often since the Miami series. So I would like to see more Bogi with Brunson. And Bogi's debut tonight wasn't great. It was okay. He had 11 points. He shot 3 of 10. He didn't score in the second half. You saw some of his craftiness, right? Getting off the dribble, getting to the line. I just hope that he's aggressive here, and I hope he comes to do what we signed him for, right? We got him to shoot the shit out of the ball, and so we're going to need that. I thought tonight he was a little bit passive, especially when he was giving up looks to an open Josh Hart, and it's like, well, he'll quickly learn that Hart's open for a reason. But I think he's going to thrive here, especially when Isaiah Hartenstein gets back, because Bogi is a movement shooter. He's a guy who can run off those iHeart screens, DHO, pin down, and he can also catch and shoot. He can shoot off the dribble. He can pull up. He can shoot in transition. He's going to be good. He's going to fit perfectly. Now, his defense was certainly not great tonight, and it's certainly not going to be great in games going forward. But I thought overall, Bogi was fine. And he's not going to score 11 points. God, he better not score 11 points consistently. I'm hoping it'll be more closer to 18 to 20. Because they're going to need every bit of that right now. But I think that's it. I think we'll end it here at 25, 30 minutes. We'll get to our final break right now and then wrap it up with our trivia question when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on episode 625 of BD4.
If you have time in the day or maybe just prefer old-fashioned reading over listening, then you can always follow along and subscribe to BD4 Blog by going to BD4blog.com. We're not on there as often, but when we do post, it's just as entertaining, opinionated, and passionate as we are on this podcast. Thank you so much. And let's keep on with the show.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show, episode 625 of the podcast. I appreciate you all tuning in. Maybe you're listening to the show, maybe you're watching the show. I appreciate it wherever you are. Don't forget to subscribe, share the episode, download these episodes, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. But I think that's it. The Knicks dropped 3 of 4 now. That's not great. But we'll see what happens going forward. Let's wrap this thing up with our trivia question, and then that will be that. Let's go. Okay, so for this episode, our trivia question. True or false, Tom Thibodeau has more playoff wins as Knicks head coach than Mike Woodson. Is that true or is that false? Tom Thibodeau has more playoff wins as Knicks head coach than Mike Woodson. Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. Folks, that's it for this one. Unfortunate loss. Again, we kind of ran through this one. Wasn't the greatest, most detailed analysis tonight, but again, I'm not going to have the time tomorrow to set up and get a full sheet of notes for this Knicks Pacers game that I just kind of want to throw away and get on to the next one. Now, you have 2 games coming up before the break, and both of those games are against non-contending teams or fringe play-in contenders, not good teams. Can you beat the Magic once and for all, for fuck's sake? And then we have Houston on Monday, so please beat them, because right now they're, I think, 12th, so they're not even in the play-in. So let's please sweep out here. Not 1 of 2. Not 1 of 2. We got to sweep out. We have some insurance here. We should be a capable enough team to be able to beat a 12 seed and a 7 seed. Let's go. I'll see you guys in the next show. Enjoy the Super Bowl. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.